The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
The Mashal, the famous Mashal, Chachmat Shloime, the Yamshal Shloime, Tshuvas Mashal, the Mashal, the Heilige Mashal. He had a yeshiva in Lublin, and one of his Talmidim got married, and not long after the Chasana, tragedy befell. His young wife got sick, and she was nifta. And the Levaya, tragedy. Anytime it's a tragedy, it calls a young person. The Levaya and the Shiva. And for weeks and months later, this young man could not get to himself. He just didn't come back. He was somewhere else. He was distraught. He was heartbroken. Lines on his face. You saw he was troubled, terribly depressed. And people felt so bad for him. Nebuch. The Mashal sees him, his Rebbe, and the Mashal sees in a second that there's something wrong with this young man. And he asks him, why are you down? I've had a tragedy, but you know that whatever it is good, and it's one thing, a person is boiche initially in the process, but as time goes on, a person has to wake up and come back to life, as tragic as his life may be. And the Gemara tells him, Rebbe, 100%, I know that, but there's something else bothering me. Mashal, what's going on? He says when she was on her deathbed, he wanted to make her feel good. And he gave her a tkiyas kaf. It's like a shvuah, a neder, that he won't remarry anyone else. She will be the memory for the rest of his life. He wanted to make her feel good, to comfort her. She says, I made a tkiyas kaf, he says. And he has no children. That's why I'm depressed. Mashal tells him, it's not a problem. It's not chal, yitkiyas kaf, has no meaning, has no validity. It's against what says in the Torah. The Torah says you have a chiyuv to have children. A mitzvah perivirivya. You can't make a neder against the Torah. You can't make a shvuah against the Torah. Go ahead, and you can remarry. The simcha, the shine on the face of the single man. And he went about his way, looking for shidduch, and the Eibusha sent him a shidduch, and Baruch Hashem, they got married. Not long after he remarried, another tragedy. The young man himself left the world. He was nifta suddenly. And Lublin was on wheels. Here Nebuch lost his first wife. He finally gets remarried, and Nebuch goes from the world. It was schrecklich. Mashal found out about it. Mashal called in the Chevra Kadisha, and he told them as follows. He said, you'll take care of the nifta, you'll prepare him, whatever has to be done, to prepare him for the kvura, we'll make a levaya, we'll take him to the Beis HaChayim, and we'll put him into the dug up keva. But do not cover him over with sand. Do not cover him. Leave him uncovered with sand. And everyone has to leave the Beis HaChayim. Everyone. The Chiluklisha were baffled. They never heard of such a thing. Mashal, the Heilige Mashal. They didn't do what Mashal told them to do. But there was no understanding. But they didn't have to understand. Bittul to the Gadol, to the Mashal, the Mashal tells him, but wait, I'm going to give you a note to put into the hand of the nifta, and you're going to put him into the keva with this note in his hand. Okay. Mashal takes a piece of parchment in those days, feather, ink, and he writes a note. He finished writing the note, he folds it, gives it to Rav Gadisha, says, remember, you put it into the hand of the nifta, do not take it out of his hand at any time, you leave it with him, including when you put him in. Okay? What did the Mashal write? The Mashal wrote a note to the Bezdin Shalmala, to the Pamalya Shalmala. The Lashon that the Mashal wrote, this is Rabbi Shapiro saying over verbatim what he saw in the Pinkas HaKehillah, in the Kehillah diary in Lublin, from hundreds of years earlier. Mashal writes to the Pamalya Shalmala, Shalom, Shalom Lachem, Pamalya Shalmala. Shalom to you. Ani pasakti al yidei din Torah. I, through the din of the Torah, gave out a psak, shetalmidi, my Talmud, this Talmud, mutar is allowed, v'chayev, and it's incumbent upon him, lasas isha, to marry a woman. He did not have children yet, he's mechuyev in perivia. Therefore, he writes, and he goizer b'koyach ha-Torah. The Mashal writes, I am goizer with the koyach of Torah. The koyach ha-Torah, shetachziru li as talmidi. You should bring me back in regular living form. My Talmud, the Nifta. He signed his name, Shlomo Luria, maybe wrote his father's name, whatever, and that was the note on the parchment. He folded it up, gave it to them. Chaver Kedisha went ahead. They went through all the hachanas, as needed, as customary, with a nifta. There was a levaya. They took him to the Beis HaChaim, and they put him in. Did not cover him, and everyone left. Not long after everyone left, this nifter got up from the cave, came back, as the mashal was geyser, and he started walking in the town in his tachrichim. Rabbi said, this is not a fairy tale, this is not a story, this is not made up, this is a story that happened. And he started walking in the streets of Lublin. And people ran to every way, but not next to him, obviously. A nifter walking in tachrichim. Can we imagine? Imagine the trauma to the people, to the children, to the Weiber. A person in tachrichim who just had a levaya is walking. The next morning, the mashal sends a shliach to the single man. He says, dress yourself with normal clothing that we wear and come to the yeshiva. And so he did. He came to the yeshiva. The chevra in the yeshiva, the talmidim, started running all over. Same room, the same building as a person that was yesterday dead. They couldn't handle it. And it wasn't shaykh. Mashal found out about it. Mashal realized that it's not a temporary thing. This trauma is going to continue. Who's going to be in his daladamas, or even more, this person was a dead person. Mashal went ahead, and he was geyser on the sar hashikhe. In Shemayim, there's a sar that has a koyach to make a person forget. And he was geyser him b'koyach ha-Torah on the sar hashikhe, that he should be mishtalek, he should have a power of the people of Lublin, that they should be shikhe, they should forget this specific story. Not forget other things in their life. Not forget the Torah, not forget anything. This specific thing. And so it happened. Everyone forgot the story. Rabbi say, again, the Pinkas of Lublin had the story from hundreds of years before. Rabbi Shapir said it over. And it's printed in the Sefer in the name of Rabbi Shapir. The end of the story was beautiful. He came back, continued with his remarried wife. The wife he remarried. They had children and they had grandchildren and everything was good. Not just it's our lives, but sometimes we see that dead people could become alive. Ad heichon, the koyach ha-Torah.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org